Part 5, the Rico Trap. Why the feds want Diddy, not just for what he did, but who he ran with. This ain't just about Diddy's behavior. This ain't just about Cassie, or Kid Cudi, or the Freakoffs, or even the Tunnels. This not even about the late night mansion visits. This is about organized power. Because when the feds roll up with Rico charges, they ain't chasing one man, they're chasing a network. Let me break this down in street terms. Because the government don't move like bloggers. They ain't posting clips, they ain't reacting for likes. They build cases slow, quiet, and deadly. Rico don't care if you're a superstar. If they think you run an organization involved in crime, whether it's sex trafficking, drugs, fraud, extortion, intimidation, they coming for the whole team. And here's why Diddy's on the menu. He didn't just throw parties, he funded them. He didn't just pull up, he booked the jets. He didn't just let things happen, he arranged what went down. You start hearing the same people at those parties. The same bodyguards, the same assistants, the same lawyers protecting everybody. That's structure, and structure is what turns a scandal into a criminal enterprise. Now let's connect the dots. They not just looking at Diddy's lawsuits, they looking at who moved the girls, who handled the money, who signed the contracts, who booked the hotels, who threatened people afterward. That's how Rico works. Even if Diddy ain't do everything personally, if he ordered it, funded it, or covered it up, he's liable. This goes deeper than sex allegations.
I mean, everything is backwards. So with my pimp, I started learning that if I was nice to him, if I didn't fight as hard, if I gave up with the fighting, and if I just did what he said, then I would become bottom, which means top.
And y'all, her tale is harrowing. Allie claims that she was an unfortunate victim of all this Diddy drama.
There's talk of shell companies laundering hush money. Nonprofits used to funnel cash inside these surveillance setups inside mansions, influencing police reports and hospital records. You think it's random that every time someone tried to report what happened, nothing stuck? That's not luck, that's control. And Rico was designed for situations like that. When a powerful person uses others to do their dirty work, they've been watching. Don't let the lawsuits fool you. Civil cases are just the appetizer. The feds move when it's airtight. That's why there's rumors of sealed indictments, grand juries in motion, confidential informants flipping, people testifying behind closed doors. And guess what? Some of the lawsuits line up too clean for it to be coincidence. Same dates, same cities, same private jet itineraries, same group of security and assistants present. That's a blueprint for conspiracy. And here's the crazy part. This ain't just about who Diddy hurt. It's about who he protected. Who else was in those rooms? What politicians? What executives? What A-listers? Because if he flips, it could bring down a whole industry. That's why people look nervous. That's why folks distancing themselves. That's why Jay-Z called up Alex Spiro. That's why the silence from celebs is louder than the noise. They don't know how far this gonna go. But the feds do. And just like the streets say, if one fall, we all fall. Except this time, it ain't the crew from around the way. It's billionaires, brands, and boards of directors. Part 5B. Who's next to flip? The weak links the feds got their eyes on. Now listen. In every Rico case, there's always that one dude. The one who looks calm but been sweating bullets at night. The one who shows up to brunch smiling but got a lawyer on speed dial under the table. The feds don't want the loudest one. They want the weakest one. The link in the chain who gon' bend first. And in this Diddy saga, there's a few who already look shaky. Let's break down the potential flight risks turned flippers. 1. The drivers and bodyguards. They seen everything. They ain't just driving limos. They the ones who escorted girls into private rooms, made phone calls, handed off envelopes, knew what time people left, and what state they were in. They the first to be cut off when the heat comes and the first to flip when offered immunity. That ain't rumor, that's movement. To the personal assistants. Now these folks, they know everything because they ran the chaos. They weren't just fetching coffee. They just booked flights, called in cleaners, paid off hotels in cash, helped girls leave in silence. A lot of them signed NDAs, but guess what? NDAs can't protect you from federal subpoenas. And some of them already had lawyers reach out. One crack in that shell, the whole truth come flooding in. 3, the event planners and talent coordinators. Let's call it what it is. These were the folks that curated the experience, got the right energy in the building. They knew what was expected. They were just told not to ask questions. But when the questions do come, some of them ain't built for prison, Mike. You know that. They gonna fold under pressure like aluminum foil in a microwave. 4, ex-friends with grudges. This might be the most dangerous category. We all got that one ex-homie, the one who knows too much, saw too much, and got left behind. They weren't invited back to the last party. They got cut off from the money stream. Now they got nothing to lose. And with the Fed sniffing around, that grudge becomes leverage. Y'all want dirt? I got dirt. I was there in 06. I know who flew in, who left crying, and who paid who. You think they won't talk? They just waiting on the right offer. 5, the industry insiders watching their phone blow up. A lot of big names are pretending they ain't shook, smiling on red carpets, posting vacation pics, but behind closed doors, they're deleting numbers, scrubbing old pics, praying their names don't end up in no sealed document. Because, let's be honest, once one flips, the rest crumble. That's how Rico eats through power, one scared witness at a time. And guess what, Mike? It don't even take somebody important to break the case. One assistant, one bodyguard, one flight manifest, one email, boom, the whole structure collapses. And that's why Diddy looking nervous. Because when you built your empire on secrets, all it takes is one mouth to bring it down.
The government came out and said, yeah, aliens are real. And everybody was like, well, do we still have to pay rent? I don't care. Right? We know about Pizzagate. We know about a lot. Don't you? And still, everybody's waiting on somebody else to do it. Get off your ass. You have a platform. You're watching me on a platform. You can help. Because guess what? They need you. You're the commodity. We are all commodities. When you figure out who's in control, then you'll see that. Right? Because at the end of the day, the Luigi case is broadcasted from every angle. When they want you to see a case, because they need entertainment, they need you to play into their narrative, then it's put everywhere. When they don't want you to see a case, like Elaine, Epstein, Diddy, there's so much talk about it, but nobody knows what's really going on inside of it. The Johnny Depp OJ trial, that was entertainment. They needed you entertained. They needed you distracted, like they do with Luigi.
Part 5C, the evidence they're hiding and what's already been leaked. Now listen, when the feds get involved, they don't show their whole hand. They move like chess players, quiet, strategic, deadly. And while the public only sees bits and pieces, the real evidence is stacking behind the scenes like crates in a warehouse. But here's the part they didn't plan for. Some of it already leaked. And once it's out in the wild, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Let's start with the paper trail. Travel records, private jet logs, same girls, same crew, same cities, over and over, hotel check-ins, different names, same dates, same credit cards, payments, thousands wired to consultants and choreographers. But the girls say they never danced. Old party footage resurfaced, clips showing minors in settings they had no business being in. audio of screaming in the background, videos that look like fun until you slow it down and see the fear in people's faces. And then the real shocker, multiple sources claim there's a vault of surveillance tapes from private estates, hidden cams in party houses, footage used to blackmail people who got out of line. And that vault might already be in the wrong hands. Let's talk emails and texts. That's the digital gold mine. Messages like, make sure she signs the NDA before she leaves. Pay the driver extra. He saw too much. Get her a room on the lower floor. No cameras. Tell him to shut up or the video drops. These ain't just shady. These are evidence of intent. And once prosecutors get that intent, it's game over. Now let's not forget the witness accounts. Some are anonymous, some are in the lawsuits, some already testified behind closed doors. And their stories match too closely for it to be fake. We talking word for word, same patterns. Girls recruited at parties, given drinks, waking up confused, being threatened, being filmed, being told, you asked for this. Different victims, same method, same names. And then there's what's not leaked yet. Photos, confidential voice memos, private medical records from hospital visits after parties, therapist notes from survivors who kept silent for years. That's the stuff the prosecutors holding like aces. They ain't gotta show it now. But once it's time for trial, boom, they gonna flood the courtroom with receipts nobody saw coming. But here's the craziest part, Mike. Even with all that evidence, some folks still try to spin it. They say he's innocent until proven guilty. It's all just lawsuits. Why now? Where's the proof? The proof is already here. It's in the patterns, in the documents, in the videos, in the testimonies, and in the silence of the people who know it's true but won't say a word.
We had this deal, and this deal was that he wouldn't, the other girls and the other boys that he had, he wouldn't just leave me. He wouldn't sell me out of country and leave me there. He made that promise, and of course, there's no promises that he kept. They were all empty and broken and lies. So when I had to go to this auction and this man from Russia purchased me, I thought, okay, we'll just come right back. And the first time he said, you'll leave with him. He wants to have what's called a girlfriend experience, where they're able to take you home and they're able to keep you for the weekend, and have you wake up next to them, is the girlfriend experience.
We not talking rumors no more. We talking receipts. And the more this case unfolds, the more that hidden evidence gonna spill. Part 5D. How celebrities keep getting away and why this time might be different. Now this one gonna hit hard because we all done seen it before. Big star, big accusations, big distractions, and then poof, nothing happens. PR kicks in, fans forgive, the headlines fade. So how do they keep getting away with it? Let's break down the blueprint. Step 1, the fame shield. Fame ain't just money, it's armor. When you're a celebrity, people assume he'd never do that. He's too rich, too powerful, too connected. It's like their image becomes a force field, and folks will defend that image harder than they defend the truth. Why? Because people don't just love the celeb, they love what the celeb represents. They don't want to believe their hero is a monster. Step 2, the spin machine. The moment the heat turns up, the PR machine kicks in like clockwork. They're just trying to bring a black man down. It's cancel culture gone too far. She just wants money. That's old news. Let's focus on the music. Boom. Now people confused. Now the narrative is muddy. Now the victim looks like the villain. And before you know it, nobody knows who to believe. Step 3, legal delays and distractions. This part is strategic. Delay the court dates. Tie up the civil suits, file countersuits, make it drag on so long that the public gets tired and moves on. Meanwhile, drop a new album, announce a charity move, do a podcast interview with some soft questions. Rebrand as a man who's healing. By the time the trial hits, people ain't even paying attention no more. Step 4. Buy the silence. This is the dirtiest play in the game, but also the most effective. NDA, settlement, gag order, private check written behind closed doors. The victim never gets justice. They just get a bag and a warning. This goes away now, or it'll cost you everything. And most times, they take the money because healing is expensive and the court of public opinion is brutal. But here's the twist. This time might be different. Here's why. 1, too many voices at once. This ain't one person accusing Diddy. This is a chorus. Cassie, Gene Deal, Kid Cudi, Ali Carter. Background dancers, assistants, witnesses, makeup artists, producers. Different races, different eras, same patterns. That's hard to spin. 2, the internet won't let it die. We in the era of receipts, screenshots, archived videos, clip compilations, threads with 50 sources, TikToks breaking it all down in 30 seconds. The machine can't keep up. Every time they try to bury it, it goes more viral. And that's power they never planned for. 3, people done seen too much. The culture has changed. Folks ain't looking the other way no more. They not just asking, did it happen? They asking, who helped him? Who covered it up? Who's next? And when the public starts looking sideways at the enablers too, that's when the industry starts to crumble. 4, the feds are involved now. This ain't just a blog war or a civil case. It's federal, it's organized, it's deep. And when the feds in your business, ain't no PR firm saving you. Ain't no hit song distracting them. Ain't no NDA sealing that cell door shut. So yeah, celebrities been getting away with it for years. They built a system for it. But now that system got cracks, and Diddy's case might be the one that brings the whole thing crashing down. Part 5E, the game. How they lured, controlled, and broke you down step by step. Now listen, this ain't just about what they did. It's about how they did it. Because Ali Carter didn't just expose the actions, she laid out the playbook. And if you ain't paying attention to the system behind the scenes, you gonna miss the whole point. Ali said it starts real simple. Make you feel chosen. That's step 1. You a young girl, fresh to the scene, maybe from out of town. Maybe you just thinking this a chance to meet a star or change your life. You get that invite, somebody whispers, you special. Then come the lights, the outfits, the glam cars. They gas you up with compliments, champagne, or flattery. And most dangerous of all, promises. You got the look. You belong here. You could be next. Next what? They don't say. But in that moment, you're just grateful to feel seen. That's how it starts. Step 2, isolation. Once you in, you realize you don't really know nobody. Phones are either taken or discouraged. The room's too big, too dim, too cold, and the music's loud enough to drown out a scream, but never loud enough to feel like a party. It's a trap disguised as a vibe. And then the real game begins.
There's so many wolves in truth teller clothing. Here, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, 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 kitty.
They pull you aside. Some handler, some assistant. Someone smiling too hard, but saying too little. They give you a drink or maybe just a direction. Come with me. Now you're in a different room. The air changes. There's perfume, cologne, but underneath it, something foul. Not quite sweat, not quite fear, but something in between, like the room itself done seen too much pain. There's a celebrity in there, somebody you've seen on TV your whole life. And they're calm, too calm. Like this is just another Tuesday. And you freeze, not because you want to be there, but because part of you still thinks you should feel lucky. That's the sickest part of the game. They make you question your own discomfort. Ali said Diddy and his people didn't just throw parties. They ran plays. This was organized manipulation, down to a science. They knew who to target, how to charm them, how to keep them silent. They offered gifts, trips, clothes, sometimes straight up money. But everything came with an unspoken rule. You owe us now. And when the confusion turns to regret, and the regret turns to fear, that's when step 4 kicks in, silenced by shame. They make you feel like you wanted it, like it was your choice, like it was your fault. And by the time you realize what's really going on, it's too late. Because now you're not just a victim, you're a liability. So you don't speak up, you can't. Who's gonna believe you over Diddy, over Ashton Kutcher, over Naomi Campbell, over $1 billion machine? That's how this game works. It don't run on force, it runs on psychology. Guilt, fear, shame. And Ali, she broke the code. She told the world, this ain't just about one night or one party. This is about a whole system of silence designed to protect the rich and ruin the vulnerable. She wasn't just exposing moments, she was exposing a method. And the question we all gotta ask is, how many more are still trapped in it right now? Part 5F, the blackout events, secret shadows in the all-black code that no one talks about. Uncle Mike back in the chair. In this next part, brace yourself, because Ali Carter ain't just talking wild. She pulled the curtain back on the blackout events, and it's some of the most disturbing stuff I've ever heard. And I done heard a lot. Now, when most folks hear all black, they think elegance, suits, gowns, a dress code, you know, the Met Gala vibe. But nah, what Ali described was way different. This wasn't about fashion. This wasn't about some fancy exclusive affair with black velvet ropes and chilled champagne. This was a coded event. She said when she first heard about all black, she thought it was just some upscale gathering, maybe a tribute party. But when she walked into that space, the atmosphere hit different. Thick air, no music, no laughter, and definitely no celebration. She said it felt like walking into a funeral, but the kind where you don't know who died yet, and you're afraid it might be you. And here's where it gets heavy. Ali said the real meaning behind the name All Black wasn't about attire, it was about the kids. Young black children specifically, being brought in under false pretenses. Some told they were performing, some said they thought it was a modeling gig, others didn't speak English at all. They didn't know what was going on. And worst of all, some of them looked sick, malnourished, confused, broken. And Ali, she ain't no liar. She looked dead in that camera and said there were babies. Let that sink in. She said the setup at these events was designed to keep people compliant. Big name guests weren't just watching, they were participating. Diddy, Jay-Z, Naomi Campbell, and others she wouldn't even say, out of fear. Yeah, fear, still. She said there were private booths, plush but small. The kind that looked luxurious on the outside but locked like cages once you're inside. No phones, no clocks, no windows, just shadows and whispers. And you gotta understand this. Ali wasn't just painting a picture of abuse. She was describing ritual. She talked about roles. Some guests had power, some had assignments, and others like her were seen as fresh stock. The kids, some were lined up, some were kept hidden behind curtains. And the handlers, those were the middlemen dressed in black, moving like ghosts. They made sure the rich stayed entertained. They made sure the silence stayed sealed. Ali said it felt like she was in another world, like some secret layer of society that exists just beneath the surface of fame, where everything looks normal on the outside, but once you're inside, nothing makes sense anymore. She said one moment stuck with her forever. A child, maybe 6 or 7 years old, looked her dead in the eye from across the room. No words, no sound, just a stare. Wide-eyed, hollow, like the light had been turned off behind them long ago. And Ali swore in that moment, she heard nothing. No chatter, no clinking glasses, no footsteps, just silence. A blackout in every sense of the word. She got out that night, but not everyone did. She says she never saw that child again. And that haunts her to this day. These all-black events, they weren't parties. They were staged nightmares, dressed up in luxury, protected by security, and sold to the elite as entertainment. You see, this ain't about clout. This ain't about fame. This is about exposing something monstrous that's been hiding behind Hollywood's smile for decades.
My mom and I are going through a lot, and with where we have to go next, I have a feeling we're about to go through more. So I thank you all again for being on here, and if it's possible for you to be ready with screen recorders, just in case there's an issue that I think I know what's coming, but I'll wait, and we'll let go and let God. But the Panthers, all Black Panthers, you don't scare me. It's cute, but you don't scare me. That little girl is dead, and she's gone, and she grew up, and she doesn't exist anymore. So the grown woman that I am now, you don't scare me. And the programming that you put in place, yeah, that's broken.
Part 5G, the neighbor's story. Buses of kids, 3 a.m. arrivals in the house. Nobody dares to visit. All right, Uncle Mike back in it. Now listen, the industry got a habit of hiding its filth behind tall fences and tinted the glass. But what they always forget, the neighbors can still see. Allie Carter gave us the inside scoop, the pain from within the parties. But this comes from outside the gate, from folks who live next to Diddy, folks who've seen it all without even trying. Let's set the scene. A calm, upscale neighborhood, gated homes, fancy cars, perfect lawns, the kind of place you move to when you're trying to forget the chaos of the city. But Diddy's crib, that wasn't peace, that was the eye of the storm. His neighbor stepped out and told the world the truth that had everybody clutching their pearls. He said, "Man, stop bringing all them minors over here late at night."
Yeah, tell them stop bringing all them minors over here late at night. I live right next to him. He do too much. It be like buses, like big ass buses. You just see all type of shit hop out. Especially at nighttime, like around 3 o'clock in the morning. It gets wild. I'm his neighbor. When my basketball go over there, I just let it be because I don't want to knock on the door.
Let me break that down for you. This wasn't no maybe or I think I saw something. Nah, this neighbor said he saw buses. Not one, not two, buses full of kids pulling up in the dead of night, 3 a.m. like clockwork. Now tell me, what kind of party needs buses full of kids at 3 in the morning? Not a birthday party, not a sleepover. Something ain't right, and the neighbor ain't exaggerating. He lives right next door. Close enough to hear the music, close enough to hear the screams if there were any, and close enough to know when something ain't adding up. He said, "I'm his neighbor. My basketball go over there. I just let it be. I don't want to knock on that door." Read that again. I just let it be. I don't want to knock on that door. That's fear. That's knowing something's wrong and deciding to stay quiet because you know who you dealing with. Diddy ain't just another neighbor with a loud stereo. He's the type where if you speak out, you might not sleep well ever again. And that's the crazy part. Think about how many people saw something but stayed quiet. How many neighbors, how many Uber drivers, how many bodyguards, stylists, party planners. People saw the buses, people heard the rumors. But this world we live in, money speaks louder than screams. Fame silences truth. And the industry, it knows how to erase witnesses before they ever step up to the mic. Now here's the twist. That neighbor's confession, that clip, it ain't from some high production documentary or late night interview. It's raw, recorded on the fly. One man telling the truth, probably before he changed his mind. That's real, that's unfiltered. It's a reminder that sometimes the biggest secrets ain't hidden behind curtains. They sitting right out in the open, but folks too scared to call it what it is. That house Diddy got, it ain't just a mansion, it's a mystery, a machine, A fortress where buses come and go, but the truth struggles to escape. And the saddest part, the neighbors ain't blind. They just scared. And in that fear, they become part of the silence too. Part 5H. The systematic trap. How they pick, break, and bury the young before they speak. Alright, sit tight. This ain't easy to hear, but it's the realest thing Uncle Mike ever said. See, when Allie Carter opened her mouth, she didn't just talk about parties. She described a machine, a system, something bigger than one man. These weren't just wild nights going too far. These were operations, engineered, intentional, methodical, set up so slick even grown folks wouldn't see the trap until it was too late. But this machine, it didn't go after grown folks, it went after kids. Let's break it down. The picking. They ain't out here snatching random folks off the street. Nah, they smart with it. They watch you first. Look for the ones with no mama, no daddy, no teen, or maybe they got parents, but the kind that want the fame more than the child ever did. They target the dreamers, the wide-eyed ones, the pretty faces, the ones who light up a room but don't know yet that light attracts predators too. They look for vulnerability wrapped in hope, and once you in their sights, they dangle opportunity like a carrot, a role, a record deal, a scholarship, a modeling gig. Come to this party, everyone's gonna be there. And when you say yes, that's the first step into the maze, the breaking. You think you walking into a party, music, lights, celebs, but once you inside, everything start feeling off. The room's too dark, the music too loud, strangers staring too hard. Then come the drinks, then come the pills, then come the orders whispered like secrets. Don't worry, just do what he says. It's normal. You're special. This is how it works. You're not at a party anymore. You're in training to shut up, to obey, to lose yourself. And you'd be shocked how quick a young mind breaks when it's isolated, scared, ashamed, when nobody in the room stops it, when everyone acts like it's normal. The burying. And if that kid dares to speak up, they bury him. Not in dirt, but in doubt, shame, ridicule. You're crazy. You wanted it. You're jealous. You just mad your career ain't popping. And if that don't work, they use money, gag orders, threats. Take this bag and disappear. One word and your family's next. It's a chokehold so tight you don't even realize you can't breathe. Allie Carter survived the machine. That's why what Allie did, it ain't just brave, it's revolutionary. She stepped out of the machine, she spoke up. And she did it knowing damn well the industry would paint her as crazy, but she ain't. She's a survivor, a whistleblower, a flame in the dark room the machine tried to lock her in. And don't get it twisted, this ain't just about Diddy. It's about a system that's been feeding off young souls for decades. Diddy's just one piece. The visible rot on a much deeper infection. What Allie described, that's human trafficking wrapped in glitter. It's abuse dressed up as opportunity. And it's been going on way too long.
I was told to go to the park in Fontana and sit on the swings. I had bright red hair, and this is what saved my life because I was about to get branded. I was about to change my complete look to go to Russia because that's what my pimp was telling me to do. So I braided my hair and I changed it. It was blood fire engine red, and it was so bright that it was so noticeable anywhere I went, and I had brushed it out so it's frizzy and crazy. And I went and sat on the swings, and I called my mom and my grandma at the time, and I told her, I love you. I don't know if I'll talk to you again, but I'm about to leave. And she's like, where? And when my grandma heard that in my voice, she rushed to the park. She saw me sitting on the swings. She's like, get home now. She called my mom. My mom called the foster home. She called the police. She called the social worker. And thank God they did, because it stopped the Russia order. It stopped my pickup. I was sitting on the swings getting ready to leave to go to Russia. And it stopped everything.
Part 5J, the overseers, who really runs these events behind the scenes. All right, now we're getting into the darkest room in the mansion. The part Allie said nobody wants to admit. These events, these freak-offs, these so-called Hollywood parties, they ain't random. They ain't wild outbursts. They're coordinated, structured, operated, and the worst part, the celebrities ain't even the ones in charge. Who's really in the room? Let me break it down like Ali did. You walk into a Diddy mansion party and sure you're gonna see familiar faces. Jay-Z in the VIP, Ashton posted up by the fireplace, Naomi gliding past in a designer dress. But behind them, up in them shadowy balconies, sitting in rooms with the door barely cracked open, that's where the real power sit. Ali said the celebs are the bait, the flashy toys, the smokescreen. But the people really pulling strings? Most folks wouldn't recognize their faces if they passed them on the street. Old money, corporate ghosts, legacy names with no rap sheet, but every receipt. You got billionaires, politicians, secret society representatives, CEOs from companies that got nothing to do with music or movies, yet somehow they always in the back, sipping dark liquor and whispering commands. The event staff was never just staff. Now here's what hit hard. Ali said some of the people dressed like waiters weren't just waiters. That dude carrying a tray of champagne, he might also be the one organizing the lineup for the private room. The lady offering hors d'oeuvres, she might also be the one selecting which girls go where. The security guards, don't let the earpiece fool you. They ain't just watching for intruders. They watching you. Making sure no phones are recording, no one steps out of line. And if someone tries to leave, they don't. This was a machine, Uncle Mike, and every cog from the valet to the photographer was in place for a reason. The code words and the control. Now check this. Ali said conversations didn't sound normal. They had code words. Special phrases. Phrases like, send that bottle upstairs really meant, send the girl to the private room. Phrases like, the artist wants more background noise meant, turn the music up so no one hears the screams. She said even the layout of the house was strategic. Certain stairwells were blocked off unless you were invited. Some bathrooms weren't even real. They were just fake doors leading to isolated chambers. And what was happening in those chambers? Ali wouldn't even say on camera, but the way her face changed, that said enough. Everyone had a role or they were removed. You either played along or you disappeared. Ali said she watched girls get escorted out for doing too much talking. Watched boys get dragged to black SUVs for trying to call their mama. Once you saw too much, once you didn't play your role, you became a threat, and threats got silenced. One way or another, and all this, it wasn't even hidden, it was accepted, normalized. The overseers didn't have to bark orders, they barely had to speak. Their presence was enough. They had that type of power that don't need words. Money, reputation, and fear did all the talking. Uncle Mike's truth. Listen to me when I say this. Ali Carter gave us a map. She pointing to rooms we never knew existed. She naming names that used to be whispered in private. And most important, she breaking the illusion that these events were just wild celebrity nights gone wrong. Nah, they were organized, like corporate retreats for the devil. And the higher up you go, the more evil you find. This ain't about Diddy anymore. This is about the structure above him. Part 5K, the ones who escape, how some survived, and why they won't talk. Now here's where things get strange, family. We done heard about the ones who didn't make it out. The ones who got used, discarded, silenced, or worse, erased like they was never there. But what about the ones who did get out? Ali said they exist. Folks who were deep in it, saw it all, felt that cold chill of those mansion walls, but managed to walk away. Problem is, they still ain't talking. And Uncle Mike gonna tell you why. You can survive the room, but not the memory. Ali describes survivors like they ghosts. People who look normal on the outside, smiling in interviews, launching businesses, staying booked and busy, but behind them eyes, they different. Why? Because they survived something unspeakable, not just a party, a system, a ritual, a sacrifice of self. Some of these survivors, young girls, teenage boys, even grown artists, might still be on red carpets. But Ali said if you know what to look for, you can see it in the way they flinch when certain names are mentioned, the way they keep their team too close, the way they fuss for certain cities, certain events, certain people. Because that trauma, that don't leave you. Even when the camera's flashing, why they don't talk, the real reason. Look, the internet loves to ask, why ain't more people come forward? Uncle Mike gonna answer that with what Ali said. They ain't talking because it's not safe. And I ain't talking just physically. I'm talking about financially, mentally, spiritually. You think a young R&B singer gonna risk her whole career to name drop someone like Naomi? Nah, because when you speak, you lose everything. Your team, gone. Your brand deals, gone. Your agent, lawyer, accountant, all been bought already. Ali said some folks tried. They reached out to journalists. They met with lawyers, and then their stories got buried. Their names got dragged. Some even got framed for crimes they didn't commit. Fear is the contract they never signed. But still, and Ali said it best. These survivors didn't sign no NDA. But the fear still holds like a contract. They got friends who went missing. They seen bodies turn up in rivers. They heard about fires in random apartments where someone was just about to speak. That ain't paranoia, that's pattern. Some of them still shake when they get a call from an unknown number. Some of them stop writing music altogether. Why? Because their soul got shook so deep, they afraid that even their lyrics might say too much. That's why they quiet. Not because they're weak, but because they know what silence costs and what speaking costs more. Ali's role in this. Now Ali different. She already been through hell, already lost everything, already faced the worst of it. So now she got nothing left to lose. That's the power of a survivor who finally snaps.
After telling my mom the complete truth and knowing that I wasn't about to come back, I made a choice to run and to disappear, because there was no way. CPS wasn't listening. My social workers knew and was in on it. They would tell me to stop telling people. People were making fake court orders for my mom. That was the time where I was like, it's either life or death right here. And the next time that I have to try to make this decision, I'm probably going to be somewhere where I can't get out. So I ran. I disappeared from Child Protective Services government custody for a year straight. By less than a few weeks, because of my last name and because of the elite ties that I have, they took me out of the missing child's network system, and removed me from any Amber Alerts or any type of system to tell anybody that I was missing. But CPS still collected money for me. There were fake FBI that were sent out to torment my mom, to mess with people that I knew of that my pimp seen me with.
But even she got limits. You can hear it when she talks. That pause in her voice before naming certain people, that hesitation before she describes the setup in too much detail. Even Ali knows the eyes watching her. Even she knows this world got ears in every room and money behind every shadow. Uncle Mike's words to the quiet ones, to the ones watching from behind burner accounts, to the ones who got out but never healed, to the ones writing in their journal what they too scared to post. Uncle Mike see you. You ain't crazy, you ain't weak. You survived something the world wouldn't even believe if you had it on camera. And if you ever find your moment to speak, speak loud, speak proud, speak for the ones who ain't here no more. Because your silence was survival, but your truth, that's revolution.